there are 3 data points that you would benefit from understanding. Some of them are complicated, some of them are very simple, but we need to check all 3 of them out. Stand by. Welcome back to the channel. Hey, today we're going to be talking about 3 data points that can really benefit you with regard to your understanding and full capabilities when it comes to VA disability claims. So we're going to talk about all 3 of them, but before we do that, please remember to like, share, subscribe. All those things help get the word out. In addition to that, if you can just let the video run all the way through, it helps the algorithm push the video up to more and more veterans to get them more and more educated as we move forward. Thank you for all your support. Greatly appreciate it. All right, so let's talk today about 3 data points. And we're going to start with one, but I suggest you stick around for all 3 because they all 3 tie together. So the first one we're going to talk about is the 38 CFR, the Code of Federal Regulations, right? Title 38 of the Code of Federal Regulations. 38 CFR is basically the legal foundation of the VA disability system. A lot of people aren't going to be comfortable with the 38 CFR, but there are some things that you can really go out and read. It's a little bit cumbersome, but I'll give you the specific sections today that you really want to familiarize yourself with, or at least gain an initial tertiary understanding before you go out and you get somebody to help you walk through your claims, such as a VSO or other agent, right? So 38 CFR, Part 3. So it has multiple parts. Part 3 and 4 is what we're going to talk about. Part 3, a lot of people skip Part 3, but Part 3 deals with the appeals process. It tells you about all the deadlines and the requirements and the procedures and how you go about getting appeals. Because a lot of VA claims are declined right up front if they don't meet the core 3, which we talked about recently, and or the rater sees things different than you do. So remember, 38 CFR Part 3, very important to understand for appeals. 38 CFR Part 4, this covers almost all the general provisions for VA disability, for the compensation part of VA disability. So, it really gives you the definition of what a service-connected disability is, what a disability rating is, what an effective date is. Understanding those definitions, you can really push forward and get to what you need to know about your claim so that you can provide all that proper evidence and get ready to move it forward. All right, specifically within 38 CFR Part 4, we're going to talk about Section 4.100. This section outlines the standards for evaluating disability claims. It includes the evaluation of the severity of disability, like your percentage ratings. It also has the assessment in there of whether or not it's service connected and how you establish effective dates. This is where the details are of how disability evidence is weighted, how the documentation is weighted, medical evidence, lay evidence, the buddy statements, service records, how all that plays a part, right? So if you really want to have a thorough understanding, Section 4.1 is it. So 38 CFR, Section 4.110 to 160, yes, I'm looking at notes. This section has the specific disability ratings for particular conditions organized by the body, right? This is gastrointestinal. This is, anything else, right? We'll just stick with, mental health, gastrointestinal, skin conditions, etc. All these things, this is where you're going to find out everything it takes to get a specific rating for a specific disability, right? These, as much as they are fairly straightforward, you'll notice with a lot of things such as the mental health ones and a couple of others, that they are subject to interpretation of evidence as well. So you want to be as clear as possible with these things. But I'm going to give you a tool at the end of this video that really talks about how you can find out what works and what doesn't work. All right, so let's delve into the next part of the 38 CFR. 38 CFR Part 4, 120 to 4.160. This section talks about the diagnostic criteria and the associated rating schedules. These are really detailed. If you're going after one specific rating and it is for GERD, you are going to get the long list of junk that goes along with GERD. So, when it comes down to getting through 120 to 160, I suggest you meet with a doctor, with a nurse practitioner, somebody that you trust if you have somebody like that in your life, or with a VSO, and really talk through these sections if this is confusing to you, which is confusing to many, sometimes even myself, and I've dealt with it for quite a while. So just don't get caught up in how deep it is, but examples of things that you'll find in 4.120 to 4.160 are how specific symptoms, how limitations are related to conditions like PTSD, TBI, musculoskeletal, etc., and how that all translates into a disability rating. So really, meat and potatoes, sometimes difficult to understand. So the 38 CFR, how it's used in claims. They determine the service connection. The 38 CFR tells them exactly, it's the rule book, it's the law book. Hey, go by the law book, and this is how you're going to determine service connection. It also assigns the disability rating, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, blah, 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 blah. And it also addresses appeals. Remember, Part 3 is one of those where you can talk about how they address those appeals. All right, let's move on to number 2. Second thing we're going to talk about, most of you probably already know about them, are DBQs, Disability Benefits Questionnaires. This is what the C&P examiner will use, and this is their guideline. This is what they're going to write their notes on. This is where they are going to give their opinion of where you're at with regard to the claim that you have once you get done with your exam. The DBQs are right now public. There has been some noise in the background about these not being public soon. My advice to you, get yourself a nice place to download these. Get all of them that may now or may in the future relate to your conditions and disabilities and symptoms. Download them so that you have them on hand. I use these, quite honestly, to really make sure that I know what the C&P examiner is after, so I can articulate clearly what my symptoms are and how they fit in that DBQ, right? So you go in for a mental health one, they want to know how does this affect your day-to-day life? How does it affect your work life? How does it affect your social life? You have guidelines in there that will help you within DBQ. There are questions and answers. This is what the C&P examiner fills out. This is your bread and butter to me after you've gotten done understanding what it takes to get your disability from the 38 CFR. Okay? Get those DBQs downloaded. They're a very big deal. The DBQs are used by the VA or used by the C&P examiners to get the appropriate DBQ for your condition. They use them in the C&P exam. They not only go on what they see when you're there, but they also pull your medical records, they pull your service records. They build all that together to see if there is a connection. At least as likely as not is what you're aiming for. Anything better than that is just gravy. DBQs can be completed by private doctors right now. That is subject to change as well. But if you can get your doctor to fill out a DBQ for a specific condition that you've been seeing, if they're a VA doctor or a non-VA doctor, all you can do is ask. Show up with the paperwork. Show up and ask them if they'll fill this out for you. Tell them, I just want to get an honest opinion of where I'm at, and this is what the VA is going to be looking for. You can submit that with your claim, either as initial evidence or supplemental evidence as well. And then they'll comparatively look at it, quite honestly, from the C&P exam that you'll end up having to do and from what your doctor has provided. All right, so how do the DBQs play into the claims? It provides medical evidence. You want to have a diagnosis before you go to a C&P exam. If you don't have a diagnosis of whatever you're claiming before you go to the C&P exam, turn around, go back, get a diagnosis. Get it somewhere before you go to that C&P exam. That will strengthen your case. Number two, objective findings are usually found in the C&P exam. You can either strengthen or weaken your claim. You walk into a C&P exam for depression, chipper, skipping, singing songs in your head, right? You're not going to be seen objectively as somebody who is suffering with depression. Mind you, we all know that depression comes and goes in waves. It can get really high and you can be perfectly fine, and the next second you can be crashing down to the floor. But what the C&P examiner sees in the, and I'll be honest with you, 5 minutes to 2 hours of time somewhere in that realm that they see from you, that's going to be what they see objectively. So go in. I'm not saying to be a sad sack of potatoes when you walk in, but what I'm saying is if you're going in for something like depression, don't go in skipping and humming and singing to yourself when you're running up into the stairs to go to that second floor or whatever, right? This is a serious thing. This is a business meeting between you and the VA. This is a medical examination, but a business meeting as well. With the DBQs used for claims, they're used to create a consistency. Unfortunately, with consistency, we would have to have consistent C&P examiners out there, consistency in the level, quality, and output from C&P exams. So the DBQ provides a documentation consistency, but not a consistency between two C&P examiners. I've been examined for the same thing from three different C&P examiners because I knew the condition that I had was worse than what the first two had actually put it to. And the third one got me the level that I needed to, right? Not the level that I wanted, the level that I needed to get to. And then I kind of fell in line with, okay, that's really where I'm at, right? So some of the limitations of the DBQ and why medical evidence is extremely important. Outside diagnosis, outside medical evidence, service record, medical history, very, very, very important. Why? Because when you read the DBQs, you're going to see that there is an over-reliance on check boxes. Does this person have this? Check. Do they have, suicidal intent today? No, they didn't say that, so I'm going to uncheck that. I'm not going to bring that in. There's all kinds of check marks that are on each of these DBQs that make it very difficult to break out of, and be who you are every single day, even though you have dips and, peaks and valleys. But man, it's just over reliant on check boxes. I think there needs to be more forms, more form filled, more, writing in there, but I don't make the rules. So there's lack of personalization. There are no unique aspects that you can leave out of your C&P exam. Give all those unique aspects of your life and how your disability affects you to that C&P examiner. Otherwise, you can just be assured that it will be skipped on the DBQ. All right. Next thing. This is the big one. This is the final one. This is what I wanted you to stick around for. This is called the BVA decisions, right? BVA is the Board of Veterans Appeals. Yes, the decisions are out on the interwebs. You can go search them. You can search them for conditions. You can search them for, Headaches secondary to PTSD. You can search them for headaches secondary to tinnitus. You can search them for, sleep apnea as a result of or secondary to blah, 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 blah. You can search all these online. What they're going to do is they're going to show you the outputs from a Board of Veterans Appeals. And all of them are out there. Okay. They're going to show service ranges on these results. They're going to show what claims were made, what was held up, what was not held up, why, and what the Board of Appeals actually recommended. You're going to find things that were in favor of the veteran and not in favor of the veteran. This can help you understand what will work and what will not work when it comes to your VA claim. Claimant was, in a BVA decision, there could be somewhere where it says claimant was asking for an increase to 70% for PTSD. Nowhere in the records or in the interview with the veteran or the C&P exams has there ever been a consistent level of symptom A, whether that be suicidal intent or whatever, right? There's never been a consistent symptom of B. So therefore, denied. Okay, what does that tell you? That tells you, hey, if I really do have that symptom that they're talking about over and over and over and it's consistent, number one, I should be reporting it to a doctor because the more medical evidence you have, the hard medical evidence, the better. Second, you need to mention that in your C&P exam. Hey, I constantly have headaches. And when I say constantly, I mean, I can't go an entire week without having 2 or 3 of them. That will set up the symptoms. That will set you up for, okay, their symptoms are not only headaches, but they're 3 days a week, right? Which equivalates to more than 10 to 12 a month. And that equivalates to what they're being asked for on the DBQ, okay? So use the BVA decisions. Here's the good news for all of you. I have put links in the description below to all 3 of these resources. You can just go down there and click on them and go and look up your stuff. I'd love to start the conversation with you about this. Please feel free to jump in there and ask questions, and I will do my best. I am not a lawyer. I'm not a VSO. I've never been a VSO. I am just some veteran dude that's trying to do better for other veterans. So take a look at the links, go through them, do some searching on those BVA results. That may help you. It's helped me tremendously, so that may help you a whole lot. And we will get back at it next week with another good video. Thanks for watching. Take care.